Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Global Snapshot for the month of May. We always miss you, and we thank you always for your support and your prayers to all of us. Let's start with Iraq and the recent trip that One Free World International took to Iraq. It was extremely important, this trip, in order to follow up in the great work that we did previously. Not just us, but the international community. The sacrifices that we paid with our blood, with our finance, with our resources as an international community in fighting ISIS in Iraq and in fighting corruption in Iraq. When we went to Iraq, we met with different sectors from different religions, from Sunni, Shia, Christians, Yazidis, minorities. We met with the president of Iraq. We met with different ministers within the Iraqi cabinet in Kurdistan and Baghdad. But the most important than all of these official meetings was visiting the refugee camps in Zakho and see how many refugees are still suffering until today, how many minorities still in jeopardy today, how many corruption still exists in Iraq today, and how much we are as a human rights community, we have to continue work in order to ensure that the story of Iraq, the horrible story of Iraq and the war in Iraq will not be repeat itself again as we learn from the past history. Our One Free World International is right now working in order to ensure and to promote the human rights more and more in Iraq, and to continue to help in the refugee camp, in the school, because we believe education is the key in order to end the extremist movement, to end the corruption, key in order to help the new generation of Iraq to rise with integrity and justice. So right now we visited the schools, hospitals, and we are promoting more and more education, presenting tools to these refugee camps, such as laptops, materials, school materials that they need, in desk, papers, even pens. It's very important that we continue focus on education and medical supplies in order to help the people in Iraq, and especially the minorities in Iraq that's still facing persecution until today. Talking about the region of the Middle East, we all woke up one morning on this horrible news of the earthquake that killed more than 80,000 people, and I believe that the numbers will increase both in Syria and in Turkey. We learned very quickly that maybe this news will not be in our media for long, maybe for a day or two, a week or two, but in the end the media does not mention it anymore. This has happened in Syria, this has happened in Afghanistan, happened in the earthquake, even in Ukraine from time to time. The fact that it's not in the media doesn't mean that the people is still there is not effective. People lost their life, their livelihood, they lost their will, their hope. They see death in their own eye. And today, we're happy to announce to you that One Free World International, focusing on the situation in Syria, we're sending the first container with our Iraqi partners, with our Canadian partners, with our Syrian partners. We're sending the first container from Canada to Syria to help the people in the earthquake. This container is include tents, clothing, clean water, school supplies, toys for the kids, and it's very important to know that this is not the first container. Each container costs us around $33,000, and our plan is to send 15 containers before the end of the next 2-3 months. The people in Syria right now, they need us. The people in Syria right now, the children there, every woman that lost her partner, lost her son, lost her father, every man that lost his children, his wife, they need us. And this is the time that we will shine with your help and your support and your prayers. Here at home, we're still hearing the news about the Chinese interference in the police stations. And when we are reading the international news, we see how the American neighbor, our American neighbors and friends, is doing a lot in order to arrest more Chinese spies, shutting down more of the Chinese police stations. And here in Canada, you have to ask yourself why we are not hearing the same news from our Canadian government. Write to your MP write to your Congress, write to the Prime Minister, write to the Intern Minister. Tell them why you are not taking an action now to protect us as Canadians from the Chinese police stations. Why the FBI in the state is arresting more and more. It's arresting more and more these Chinese stations, Chinese spies, and we are not doing enough to protect our country. Let me just make it very clear. Our war is not against the Chinese community or the Asian community. It's the opposite. Many of the Chinese friends that we have, the freedom fighters that we have today, is a partners of One Free World International, and together we are fighting the evil of the Chinese communist regime that not only hurting their own people in China, but now we can see the evil effect on all of us, even outside the borders of China. Corruption, intimidation, spying, economic challenges that every day they're trying to put in our way in order for them to gain more and more power. But we will not allow this as a Canadian citizens, as American citizens, as European citizens, as a believers. We will not allow this. Write to your MP in Canada, write to your Prime Minister in Canada, and tell them enough is enough. We demand an action now to protect our future and our country, both in Canada and United States. Thank you for joining us. See you next month. God bless you.